misinformation, disinformation. This is something that I know across government we take extraordinarily seriously.
Taoiseach, you've spoken at length about the dangers of misinformation for democracy, but do you not think that that's a bit rich given that this government spread non-stop misinformation during the recent family and care referendums? And specifically, to give one example, I'm referring to what Leo Varadkar said, that raising immigration concerns about the referendum was a red herring.
The immigration question is very much a red herring.
But now, thanks to FOIs by both Gript and in the Irish Times, we now know that senior Department of Justice officials were deeply concerned that a yes vote would have a profound impact on Ireland's immigration system. So how was that not misinformation? And is the government not on thin ice by accusing others of misinformation and harming democracy through that, when we just had a referendum where there were many instances such as the one I just outlined?
The government had a referendum. The government comprehensively lost the referendum. The people of Ireland gave us their verdict and they didn't vote in favour of the two propositions. Different arguments were put forward, then by yes and no advocates. And yes, people can give advice to government on various proposals and various drafts, but ultimately then the final decisions on government and wording and the likes is a matter for government. I do think, and I say it respectfully, as I always try to engage with you respectfully, I do think there is a vast difference between political debate and arguing the points in relation to your view on policy in a referendum campaign or an election campaign, and misinformation, disinformation and hatred that has led to, as you know, very serious scenes of disorder, unrest, attacks on Gardaí, attacks on police forces and others. I do think there's a very big difference, and I think we all know what we're talking about when we talk about what we're trying to tackle. Not freedom of speech or freedom of expression, but where people are actually using platforms, by the way, that I use and enjoy using, but that they are using those platforms to spread activity that can ultimately result in illegal activity and people being harmed.
But in the context of democracy, I might just bring Minister O'Gorman in on this. You were on record in December last year saying that the definition of durable that the government had chosen had nothing to do with the EU law definition of durable.
The definition of durable that we are seeking to put into the Irish Constitution is not influenced by the EU law definition of durable.
Would I be correct in saying that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I remember just before the referendum, a couple of days beforehand, Taoiseach at the time, Leo Varadkar, said...
Okay, what is a durable relationship? It's a word that already exists in legal jurisprudence, there in European law. That's the reason why we chose it.
While durable relationship might be a new term in our constitution, it's not a new term in law. It's there in European law.
How was that not misinformation by the Taoiseach at the time, right before a constitutional referendum?
The clear advice from the Attorney General, who is the legal officer of the government, the legal officer of the state, and the law officer who we as a government are bound to follow, gave us very clear advice. And on the point of durable relationship, that advice was that the definition of durable that was proposed to put into the Constitution was not linked to the use of the term durable.
So was Leo Varadkar wrong to say that?
Of EU information, EU legislation. Similarly, the earlier point you make, likewise, an official in the Department of Justice had a view, but ultimately we follow the view, the legal advice of the Office of the Attorney General. So when any piece of policy is being discussed within government, different politicians and indeed different officials come and bring different views, maybe coming from their particular department, but ultimately it is the legal advice of the Attorney General that it binds government, and it was the legal advice of the Attorney General on all points of definition related to those two referendums that myself and all members of government spoke through during that campaign.
Well, the very, very last thing, this is really important, this is the very last thing. Was Leo Varadkar wrong when he said a couple of days before the referendum that the reason the durable relationship phrase was chosen was because it already had jurisprudence in European law? Was he mistaken when he said that?
I don't think, even from what you quoted there, I don't think that's what he said.
It's a word that already exists in legal jurisprudence, there in European law. That's the reason why we chose it.
But what the Attorney General said in the clear advice given to all members of government was that durable relationship was a definition from Irish law. It was not linked to the definition from the EU Citizenship Directive.
So the Taoiseach was wrong?